Let's talk about a couple of things. Actually, let's talk about three important things. More importantly, let's talk about changes. Changes are important, aren't they? Well, let's talk about three important changes we can all work towards in the next 5 years to create a better society. From taking care of our planet to making sure our leaders understand modern technology. These topics are crucial for our future. Let's dive in and explore how we can make a difference together. Hi, my name is Albert Preciado. I'm your host, and welcome to Storycraft Unfiltered, where deep journalism meets storytelling, where we attempt to unfold the untold and challenge the status quo. Let's start with the environment. We're at a crucial point where our actions today will impact the planet for generations to come. So what can we realistically do in 5 years? And for me, it's more than 5 years. I've got three boys, oldest 18 and 2 years apart below that. So I have a deep, deep concern as to what kind of environment my kids are going to be adulting in. More importantly, what kind of environment are my grandkids going to be adulting in? I mean, if we look at what's been going on in the last, I don't know, 5 years, we've seen some extreme events, and they're happening very often. As a matter of fact, when we've got evidence from NASA, the number of record high temperature events in the United States has been increasing, while the number of record low temperature events has been decreasing since 1950. The US has also witnessed increasing numbers of intense rainfall events. We're seeing that every day. Well, we're seeing it very often, at least. I mean, how many hurricanes are we seeing this past year? I mean, really think about it. So, again, what can we realistically do in the next 5 years? What kind of personal actions can be taken? Well, each of us can make small changes. I know, small changes. It feels like small changes, or the time for small changes has come and gone. But we need to start somewhere. Like using less plastic. You know, taking your own bag whenever you go to your local grocery store. Or conserving energy. Do we really need to leave all those lights on? I mean, I know I have trouble with that. Well, my kids have trouble with that. And buying from local businesses that care about sustainability. That's huge. That doesn't only affect the environment, but it helps your local economy. If everyone makes an effort, we can create a significant impact. So if you can do that with just one personal effort, let's take it a step more. What collective efforts can we take? On a large scale, we should support environmental organizations. And let's push for policies that prioritize the planet. I know, seems like daunting, right? Really? Are they really going to listen to us? Should they be listening to us? The answer is yes and yes. And we have to push it. Participating in local cleanup events or tree planting initiatives can make a visible difference in our communities. And it feels like we're back in the 90s. These were all things that we wanted to do back in the 90s when we were, up and coming. I know when I was growing up, I planted trees on Arbor Day for school. But what did it do? Nothing, because we don't have enough people doing that. So we need to have collective efforts to make this happen. But one thing that we didn't have in the 90s is the tech that we have today. And we can leverage that tech. We can leverage the brand new tech that we have that's up and coming and has yet to be up or coming or cometh. Technology can help us tackle these environmental challenges. Innovations in renewable energy, like solar and wind. I'm flabbergasted that we don't have more solar or wind in our particular, in our everyday. I mean, it just makes sense. Leveraging the technology that we have today, I mean, we're using it for all the wrong reasons. Well, that's a really biased thing to say. But we could definitely be using it for more reasons. Maybe not fully using it to its potential? That's a safe bet. That's a good way of putting it. But technology can help us tackle environmental challenges. You know, we need more innovations in renewable energy, like solar and wind. I mean, they're becoming more and more accessible, but I feel like we need to have a bigger push. Why don't we have solar on more roofs? I mean, the sun's there. It still comes up every morning. You know, I used to have a conversation with a friend of mine, and this was way back when. And I always felt the reason why the human race is not as advanced in technology as we should be or we could be is because of the fact that we have yet to tap into the amount of energy that we can, hold on to. They can be created, they can be used. And we have ways of getting this renewable energy and solar and wind by using just what's already present, what already exists. It just makes sense. We should use these tools to help protect our environment. Now that we've talked about the environment, I wanted to move on to the next topic. Let's talk about our political leaders. And we're seeing this on the ballot. We're seeing this in the debates. We're seeing this in the water coolers, if you still have a water cooler. We're seeing these conversations happen. Whenever you talk about the environment, it's almost hand in hand with the politicians, or at least with the politics behind it. So, seems like a good segue. What kind of politicians do we have currently? Can older politicians keep up with the fast-paced technology changes? Let's put aside the environmental changes that need to happen. What about the technology changes, period? In order to do that, we have to kind of take a look. Let's take a look at what exactly are we seeing whenever we talk about the age gap and governance, right? Well, for an example, how our older positions might not be meeting contemporary needs are in the sense of a generational disconnect. Many older politicians struggle. They struggle to fully grasp modern issues like technology, social media influence, or climate change impacts, right? I mean, social media influence, they're using it for what I've seen that they've been using it for. And mind you, that's not always the case, but it's definitely a case. Is to get their constituents, to be able to get their name out there and their voice out there. But is their voice the voice of the people? Maybe, maybe not. But this can create a gap between their decision making and the realities faced by younger generations. I'm no longer a younger generation, unfortunately. I just turned 40. But I do have 3 children. I have 3 boys. Men. I have 3 men who are my kids. And there's a lot of realities being faced by them. And I am not confident in having older politicians creating those laws or making those changes. Speaking of change, you ever notice how is there a notice of resistance to change? Are we seeing that? Are older politicians, do they have established beliefs and policies that they're just less willing to adapt or evolve? This can stall progress on pressing issues where swift action is needed. They spend more time talking about it than actually doing something. That might be a casual oversimplification, but it definitely feels that way. such as healthcare and reform and renewable energy initiatives, right? Going back to our first topic, we're talking about the climate. We're also seeing outdated perspectives and social issues. With evolving attitudes towards like LGBTQ rights, racial justice, gender equality, older politicians may not always reflect the current cultural landscape, which could lead to policies that feel out of touch, which it kind of tugs on the heartstrings a bit. Health and cognitive fitness concerns, we definitely see that. As politicians age, health issues can affect their ability to perform duties effectively. I am not mentioning who. You all know. We see the degrading in their health and their cognitive abilities. So discussing age limits and mental health checks could be relevant when considering who should hold long-term office. So let's understand the age gap, right? Many politicians are older. This can create challenges in understanding modern issues, right? Technology regulation, and climate policy. It's important to question how well can they address these topics. Always question it. Question your content. Always question your situation. Question your environment. It's free. Just do it. And there may not be anything to question, but you always have that option. That's something that's never taken away from us. Let's also talk about the importance of age diversity. I'm not saying we need to get rid of all the older politicians. Nobody is, really. I mean, that's just bad politics. But a mix of ages in Congress is beneficial. Younger representatives often have a better grasp on technology and current issues, while the older members bring valuable experience. That is something that I cannot disagree with. They have the experience. They did the do when it needed to be done. Together, they can create they can actually create, they can just create comprehensive solutions. Period. So, we got the age gap, we got the age diversity, we talked about why. So what can we do? We can encourage younger candidates to run for office and support initiatives that promote diverse representation. So, the timeline, again, throughout this entire podcast, we're talking about the next 5 years. Let's make it achievable and, something measurable. Over the next 5 years, we have a chance to reshape our political landscape to better reflect the society we live in. We're not looking for a drastic change because, let's be honest, that may not work in our favor. But let's push the limit of trying to see the change by encouraging the younger candidates. Let's see what we can do there. As we look at age diversity, we can't ignore the importance of the technological literacy in bridging these gaps. Right? Technology just seems to have their fingers in all the pies, at least in this podcast, and at least with those topics. So, we can't ignore the importance of technology literacy and bridging these gaps. Let's explore exactly how we can improve tech skills in our society. Because we live in a society where we rely on technology. I've got a personal story. My brother, I am the youngest in my family. I have one older brother and 2 older sisters. I'm the youngest by an entire generation. Yeah, believe it or not, my brother, who is the next oldest, is about 10 years older than me. As we get together and, say we're just sitting around drinking a beer, one of the things that my brother just loves to talk about is, technology is the reason why everything's going to crap. And I have to. I I have 15 years in the tech industry. You know, started from the bottom. Now I'm here. So I've learned several platforms. I've definitely been the person on the other end of the line asking you to turn it on and off again. And I've also been the person in front of the conference room letting you know how exactly your money's going from one account to the other and why you should be concerned if something goes down. Crisis management. So when my brother brought this up, it took a lot, but I kind of had to let him know. Do you realize everything you use technology for as soon as you wake up? You know, you're hungry. Do you remember what it was like to go to the store and you don't have any cash? You don't need that anymore. Or how easy it is to get access to anything. The ease of access is definitely the pro that we're seeing in technology. And it's a con. I'm not going to lie. It can be a con. But as I share this with him, he could not, he couldn't argue the fact that everything that, and I started pointing out things he's using. Hey, your phone. Hey, your YouTube. Hey, you want to listen to this song right now. So let's put it on. Boom. Were you able to do that in the 80s? By the way, he's a child of the 80s. And he's like, well, yeah, because I always had to, yeah, but could you literally like pull it out, go straight to there within a matter of seconds? No, no argument. But let's just bring it back. Technology literacy, right? We're in a world of technology. In today's fast-moving world, being tech savvy is essential for everyone, but many feel left out. My mom feels left out. My brother feels left out. A lot of older folks that I still encounter feel left out. And so many times I'm their savior because they need to do something. They need to see what exactly this QR code does. So let's talk about that a bit. It's more than just the age gap, but we also have a digital divide. Not everyone has access to the internet or the tech education, period. This issue affects people of all ages, especially those who might struggle to keep up. Closing the gap is crucial for ensuring everybody can participate in today's society. It really is today's society. That is what we're seeing. We are a society of tech. And the lack of digital literacy may include the inability to perform simple functions such as composing emails, logging into online platforms, or even, saving work on a thumb drive or disk drive. I mean, who does that now, right? Put it on the cloud. But try telling somebody who's 70, 80, to put it on the cloud, and look at the type of looks you might get from most. I'm not saying all. But without these basic skills, one becomes unmarketable to potential jobs if they need to take a job, Nowadays, tell me you don't use a computer or an iPad, which are basically computers, supercomputers. Let's see what other kind of examples we can bring up, healthcare disparities. Healthcare now, you need to know how to use technology just because, and getting admitted requires you to fill out forms. And a lot of people have gone paperless, So high-speed internet access, some people don't understand that you really do need that. We have so much more information going from place to place that high-speed internet access is almost not even a necessity, but an expectation. So let's move on to promoting tech literacy. How do we do that? Let's promote this tech literacy. We're seeing the digital divides. We're seeing, the pushes of against technology, or not necessarily against, but the lack of technology literacy. How do we promote it? Well, education definitely plays a key role in this, right? We can advocate for tech training in schools, support community workshops, and encourage lifelong learning. It would be great if we had a place in senior centers where they'll offer, let's say, classes or your very own personal genius bar, right? With college students willing to help out their older generations. And they can use that as, intern hours or, community hours, whatever it is that's needed to get their degree. Giving back to the older generation and at the same time, kind of bringing that digital divide or and that age gap, like, let's make that smaller and let's make it worth it, right? So we can encourage lifelong learning. In 5 years, we can have a society where everyone feels confident using technology, right? We can empower people. When people improve their tech skills, they're better equipped to engage with important issues like climate change and political representation. Why? Because what I said before, the ease to access for information, right? Of course, with that comes the risk of misinformation, but the ability to teach them that they are, for us to learn, I'm including myself in that, for us to learn how to find the right information, the honest information, the factual information, and then empowering them to support innovative solutions using that information and contribute to societal change. This is the technology literacy that I'm speaking to. So, given these three topics, right, to sum up, we've discussed 3 areas where we can strive for positive change in the next 5 years: caring for our environment, promoting age diversity and governance, and enhancing technological literacy. Each of these changes can help us build a better future for everyone. Well, I really hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast as much as I enjoyed sharing my thoughts, my views, and the thoughts and views of others that I've spoken with. But thank you for listening to Storycraft Unfiltered, the place where we, deep journalism meets storytelling. We try to unfold the untold, and we're definitely trying to challenge the status quo.